was a quiet night at the hospital when suddenly a wild wolf burst through the entrance. Everyone around panicked and scattered to find refuge from the animal. Among them was a young nurse named Emily, and in the middle of the chaos, she noticed something that no one else did. The wolf was carrying something in its mouth. It's not every day that a wolf breaks into a hospital, so, as expected, everyone was scared for their life. But when Emily noticed that the wolf was carrying something, it became somewhat clear to her that the wolf was seeking help. She tried to get people to stop and understand, but no one seemed to care. People just wanted to feel safe, which is understandable. However, Emily was determined to do something to help the animal, so she decided to take matters into her own hands. This was her one chance to really make a difference. She tried to approach the wolf, but he was running around the hospital. The animal was clearly confused and didn't know where to go. So Emily came up with a plan. She wanted to get the wolf into a room so she could contain the animal and also get closer to help. However, Emily was aware that wolves are dangerous predators. Locking herself in a room with one of them wouldn't seem like a good idea in any other situation, but it was the best she could do. Emily managed to guide the wolf into a room. And that's when she noticed that the thing the animal was carrying was a small creature. However, the wolf didn't like being locked in, so he tried to jump at Emily. Luckily, the room was spacious, and Emily was able to keep a safe distance between them. The nurse made herself small to show the wolf that she meant no harm, and it seemed to work. The wolf calmed down. So Emily took the opportunity to leave the room and find a doctor who would be willing to help. To her frustration, everyone was too scared to help. Plus, someone had called animal control. She was at a loss. What could she do to convince them that the wolf just wanted help? Eventually, Emily managed to convince a close friend of hers who's also a surgeon. He's not a veterinarian, so he didn't have the necessary skills, but he was willing to do anything he could to help. As they approached the room, they could hear the wolf howling. It was so distressed about the creature it was protecting, so they knew that they had to act quickly. When they entered the room, the wolf had his guard back up because it didn't recognize the man, Mark. Emily tried to get close to the wolf with Mark by her side, but the animal bared its teeth at them. Emily didn't want to give up, so she asked Mark to step back, and she mustered up the courage to pick up the small creature the wolf was guarding. The wolf let her. It seemed like the animal recognized that Emily wanted to help. With the small creature in her hands, Emily rushed to an operating room, and the wolf followed. Once there, Mark had no idea what to do, so they decided to finally call a veterinarian and explain the situation. They quickly found a number for a local vet online, and when the vet heard the story, they went quiet for a moment. Emily had a feeling that something was very wrong. Then the veterinarian finally spoke and asked what the creature looked like, but the nurse had no idea what the creature is. It was decided that the vet needs to be there in person, so now they can't do anything but wait. In the meantime, the wolf started to act up. The animal started to howl again, and it seemed very nervous. That's when a group of police officers burst into the room asking if everyone was okay. Now, as you can imagine, the wolf was surprised by their entrance, and it was clear that she felt threatened. However, Emily shielded it from the police officers and told them to back off. That's when the wolf did something completely unexpected. But before we continue, don't forget to like the video to help it reach 5K and make sure to subscribe to the channel. The next thing Emily knows, the wolf was walking towards the door, as if the animal wanted her to follow. No one had any idea what was going on, but Emily could feel a sense of urgency, so she decided to follow the wolf. Deep down, Emily's intuition was telling her that there's more going on than meets the eye. Emily followed the wolf outside, and the animal started heading into the surrounding woods. The nurse made sure that she had her phone on her, and then reluctantly continued following the wolf. She didn't feel confident about it, and she wished that there was someone there with her. Before she kept going, she shared her location with Mark, just in case. The further they went into the forest, the more anxious Emily got. Suddenly, she hears something in the distance. It sounded like someone was crying for help, but it was too faint to know for sure. Once again, she mustered up the courage to follow the noise. But as she went deeper into the forest, she felt a shiver running down her spine. Eventually, she hears a voice, and it's closer than before, and getting closer. Turns out it was Mark. But the wolf's not happy to see him, so the animal charged at him. Emily got in the way, and the wolf stopped the attack. Realizing that Mark is there to help, the wolf continued walking. Eventually, Emily and Mark hear noises again, and she explains that she heard those same noises earlier, but she doesn't know what it is. Mark has no idea either. Finally, they reach their destination. The wolf was leading them to a well, and the noises were coming from there. Something had fallen into the well, and it was clear that the wolf wanted to help. Emily looks into the well, but it's too dark to see anything. However, they now realize that the sounds are coming from some kind of animal. Emily and Mark spring into action. There's a rope nearby, so Mark volunteers to have it wrapped around his waist so that he can get down into the well. Emily helps him and hands him her phone so he can use the flashlight. When he gets to the bottom, he finds 5 small animals. The animals were very weak, so they had to get them help as soon as possible. Once they retrieved them from the well, Emily and Mark returned to the hospital. The vet had already arrived by then, and he was shocked to learn that they had found 5 more creatures. He asked for the animals to be brought into an operating room. The vet needed to be alone and focused, so he asked everyone to leave while he worked on the animals. As they waited for news, Emily started to think about what the animals could be. They weren't wolves, but the wolf was definitely bonded with them. Eventually, the veterinarian opened the door and said that the animals are stable, but they need to regain their strength. It would be a while, and they weren't out of the woods yet, but they had a chance. The wolf was so anxious until then, and Emily had a strong urge to give the animal a hug. Surprisingly, the wolf accepted the hug. It seemed that he knew that Emily had good intentions. After all, she had done everything she could to help. Now it was time for Emily to get some answers. The vet finally told her that the animals are extraordinary. They were a cross between a wolf and a wild dog. That made the puppies extremely rare, so much so that they were often sold on the black market. The vet didn't think it was wise to let the animals back into the wild, so they had to find a safe place for them. The best option would be an animal sanctuary where the pups and the wolf could be taken care of. Emily was worried about this because she feared how the wolf would react if the cubs were taken away from her. However, it was clear that the wolf would be happy to follow them wherever they went. So it was decided. The vet would find a good animal sanctuary for them. That regular night at the hospital, which turned into quite an adventure, is one that Emily will always remember. She was proud of herself for helping an animal in need, and after the wolf and pups were taken to an animal sanctuary, she made a habit of visiting them regularly. The puppies learned to recognize her, and they were always very excited to see her. Emily is happy that she made the decisions she made that night. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened to the poor puppies. What do you think of this story? Would you have followed a wolf into the woods? Let us know in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like the video, share it, and subscribe. Until the next video.